Maxwell, much love to you. We hope you are doing well. What a lineup we've got tonight. We have got Roseanne. We've got Cathy O'Brien back. We've got Andrew Gold, who just stopped over for dinner, and I've invited him on the screen. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Cathy.
Yeah,
and Andrew, because you've got to get going soon, I'll let you start.
Yeah, well, I was just saying off screen that I came over, as I do about once a week, for dinner with Shaun, and then he just goes, I've got to run and do a live stream and all that. And we went, okay, we've got all our family out in the garden at the moment. And I said, with who? And he goes, Roseanne Barr. I go, bloody hell, Roseanne Barr. Because I grew up and I watched every episode of that. And your show, Roseanne, obviously, I just loved it. And I must have been like 7. So probably half the jokes went over my head, or like when I was 10. But it's a pleasure. So I wanted to just pop in. I'm going to leave in a sec. I just wanted to say hello, and I love you. And if you're ever in the UK, let me know, and I'd love to meet up. And I hope you guys have a great podcast today.
Well, I love both of you. I watch you all the time. I think I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy to share cyberspace with both of you at this time.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I'm going to push this red button. Have a great one.
Thanks. Take care. Thank you. Yeah,
I gotta shut this door because they're building some fucking house next to me or some shit. Hold on.
Yeah, go for it. So, Cathy, since we had you on the channel, you got an amazing reception. Have you got any updates for the viewers?
Oh, people have been so kind, and it's just a constant. I think every day is a new surprise of people waking up, taking the initiative to take action for themselves instead of waiting on big government to do it for them anymore. So that has certainly kept me busy, and I've waited a lifetime for this. So I'm really happy to be able to, help out every way I can to empower people to, take effective action and clean this mess up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And Cathy's my idol, and my second to the oldest friend, almost 20 years. And I just want to thank Cathy before you start, for being the catalyst that opened the eyes of the world, even though it took 40 or 30 or 40 years. I don't know, Cathy, but Cathy is the catalyst that broke the matrix, and it's time she's given her due, and she's ready for it.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. That's just so sweet. Mark would be honored. He'd be so happy to see what's happening these days, and people finally, taking
Can
back.
I say one more thing? Because you reminded me. Also to her husband, Mark Phillips, the most amazing human being I ever met besides Cathy in the world, the bravest, the whitest of the white hats. And we remember him, don't we, Cathy? He's never really gone. He's always hanging around. But what a man to do what he did.
Yeah, not only for me, but for everybody, because that information reverberates. It reverberates in PTSD Time to Heal. He couldn't release the information since he worked intelligence and was bound by laws of sedition. But it was my experience to heal with that information, so I released it. And PTSD Time to Heal, it's our birthright information, our healing information for our resiliency of body, mind, and spirit to overcome any trauma. And what's so cool is that that you wrote the back cover on it, and have been part of it all along because of the depth and the magnitude of our friendship and all that we've shared all these years, and that we shared with Mark too.
Roseanne, when you first heard Cathy talking about MK Ultra, what did you think? Because she was the tip of the spear going back into the 90s, was it, or the 80s?
Cathy, what year was it?
When we met?
No, when you first started talking about MK Ultra.
I was speaking out. I started in as fast as I could by 1990. I was already speaking out because Kelly had been thrust into the corrupt system, and I was speaking out on, trying to get help for her. But, people just didn't know a whole lot back then. They didn't know there was a swamp. They didn't know the system was corrupt. They didn't know what mind control was or child sex trafficking or anything else. So, you know, it just started exposing it with Mark back then. And then, of course, you and I met in Hollywood in 2008 at the Hollywood expose on the child sex trafficking going on there, and how to heal from MK Ultra mind control, what it was about. And you know, that was so fun meeting you then. And it was like, you know, this big cosmic convergence of my old friend that's my new friend. And you know, and at the same time, such a powerful moment we were sharing to be right there in the belly of the beast of Hollywood, bringing that information to light for the children's sake. That's amazing.
And with Dr. Lois Lee too, remember?
Yes. My gosh.
I learned about MK Ultra myself because I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so I saw it and I was like, I felt like stranger in a strange land because everything I saw, it was like Night of the Living Dead or the pod people or something. And I just knew that it wasn't, I knew it was off script. I knew it was off script for them to come on the news and tell people how to vote in America. I just would go, wait a minute, even as a young girl, and just to see how people were herded, how they were under thought control and herded. It always scared me. So plus I loved reading conspiracy things, always.
David Icke?
Yeah, I read or heard a lot of his speeches. At that time, there was a book called, I can't remember the name, but it was a Behold a Pale Horse.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah, it's great. And Crossing the Rubicon.
Yeah.
That was powerful information coming out back then. And the speaking circuits Mark and I were on had David Icke and, you know, so many others who were really doing their best to get the information out back then. Of course, you were always doing your thing, and took a lot of retaliation, not only from Hollywood, you know, but politically and otherwise for, you know, exercising free speech and free thought. And, you know, you've just been amazing and such an example to us all that we can make a difference right where we are, no matter what our circumstances and how deep in the belly of the beast we are.
That's right.
Could you expand on that, Roseanne? You know, what was your wake-up moment and Cathy's influence on your thoughts about that?
Well, my wake-up moments came before I met Cathy, and it was working in Hollywood and having a show where, you know, I never had done that much being from Salt Lake City. I mean, I read a lot, but then I moved to Denver to become a comedian, and I was always a mom, you know. But then when I came to Hollywood, because I played a mom on TV, well, a lot of people thought of me as their mom. And especially there in Hollywood, a lot of kids would come to me and they would say, you know, we think of you as a mom. And then they would tell me things and, you know, of what they had suffered there in that city. And so I became involved with Dr. Lois Lee early in the 90s and rescuing children from pimps on Hollywood Boulevard and knowing what was happening to children there and why they were like being lured there with all these movies saying how great it was when it's a shithole. And understanding, well, because I'm also pretty religious and, well, I hate that word, but anyway, I always see the devil moving through things and how he's tricking us to turn on each other so he can win. So I was brought up an Orthodox Jew, so I always had that in my mind. And I always would see the fruits, you know, you can tell people by their fruits, and that these children on the street, and then when we learned who their perpetrators were, that blew my mind too, because they were judges, cops, agents, stars, I knew I couldn't ever be a part of it, so I wanted to fight it. And I did do a lot of work and stuff like that. But when I met Cathy, it was like Valhalla, because I'd already read her stuff, of course, for a long time, and thought about, oh my God, if she can make it through, we can all make it through, especially me. But then when I met her at a friend's house before we spoke, and saw how fun she was, and also did was laugh and had fun. All we did, there was no, we had gone to another planet where there was no grief, no hurt, nothing. We were just like little girls having the best time of our lives. And it's amazing that we could do that, and that we did it immediately. And we had so much fun. We always have fun.
Yeah, real friends are like that. They seem to just know. And of course we had Mark there, and Dr. Ross, Dr. Colin
Dr. Ross, yeah.
Yeah,
Dr.
they were
Ross.
Yeah, Mark and Dr. Ross were working together on exposing MK Ultra and being able to help people heal from it and everything. So, you know, that whole event, that was powerful.
And Dr. Ross was my psychiatrist that helped me to heal from having dissociative identity disorder. And so that's how it came together, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So how deep does the rock go in Hollywood then? Does it go full satanic, occult, ritual, esoteric practices?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any stories of that?
I just have the stories of survivors, but that's enough. I don't need to hear any more. I have the stories of children who survived. I have heard maybe thousands of them, and they're all the same. They're all the same. And so, you know that it's not a conspiracy, it's a network. And it just so happens they promote each other. They love to have power, because then they can get at kids, and they promote each other. And they are, everybody uses the word cabal. I wish they'd use another word, but that is what they are. They're a mafia. They're a mafia of sadists and child abusers. And that's how they get where they get, and that's how they stay where they are.
And is this the same network that is protecting the release of any Epstein information?
Well, I think that's theater. I don't know how you feel, Cathy. We've talked about it, but I think Trump's got something up his sleeve, and we're just watching it unfold, and we're seeing who was in power, in the Biden administration and the Obama administration, and had all that information that was, first put out in 2008, when, it was all revealed then in his first trial. And then we saw it all covered up under their administrations, and they never did one damn thing about it. And the Southern District of New York hid it all for them, because, they are that network of criminals. And, then as soon as Trump gets in, all of a sudden everything's about Trump being at Epstein Island and how Trump is censoring it and stuff like that. Well, if they had that information in 2020 and 2024, they would have won both elections. But I guess they decide not to do anything about this information they're leaking now. But I see it as Trump is making them beg for it, because that's how Trump is. They're going to beg for it, and then they're going to get it.
Cathy, do you have anything to add to that?
That's just well said. From my point of view, having been deep in the swamp among the perpetrators, who steal elections, use drug and human trafficking across open borders to fund their globalist agenda, who are using mind control on the global population to usher in their agenda. Having been around them, I can assure you these perpetrators don't trust each other either. So they hold each other by the blackmail, so to speak. They have all the blackmail videos compromising with the children. And so the child sex trafficking operations go quickly into the blackmail ops. I was used in them my whole life, and my earliest childhood at the Epstein Island of its time, Mackinac Island, Michigan. Well, all these videos were being kept. Then there were people who were compromised with, whether they were drugged or mind control or coerced or however the situation occurred where they ended up with the child and it was being filmed. And then those blackmail films were used to hold power over this, the anybody in positions of influence and power. So the blackmail vaults were at the Vatican, and then there was a huge one in Hollywood, right there in Hollywood, of course, and that Michael Dante had at the time. He was a soap opera star or whatever the heck he was supposed to have been. But ultimately, he was part of this global elite, these self-appointed, self-anointed leaders. He was part of their operation for the purposes of holding on to these blackmail tapes. And so Hollywood was just such an epicenter of it. It made sense that that was one of the main places where all these blackmail videos were kept. Ultimately, we need to find out who's holding these vault. Why do they have this? Who are the puppet masters at the top blackmailing everybody for what purposes, rather than who's in the video? Because I know I was in a whole lot of those videos, and you got victims, you got victimizers, and you got people who were compromised that became whistleblowers, so there's a whole level of what's going on that just releasing files isn't going to help. So I'm looking at this administration thinking, this runs so deep, it could unravel the whole globalist agenda. It can take down the people at the very top. It can, do it all. And Mark always said, never play another man's game. So if we have the blackmail, we don't use it for blackmailing them. That's their game. We use it for leverage. There's information attached to that that's very powerful, potent, and important. And I am confident, based on the way I saw things work and what I knew Mark anticipated could unravel this slave society agenda, that I think they're using them for leverage in ways that I don't think we could even begin to guess or understand. What do you think?
I think it's interesting to watch what CEOs resign. That tells a lot. Who steps down, who even dies and is replaced. And that's going on by the minute worldwide. And I think that's all interrelated, because we know it is, they do want a one world government, and it's a very small group of people that want that. And they think they're smarter than the rest of us. They think they're more than human.
Yeah, I always say they are not like us, and they do not like us. They want us to be aligned with artificial intelligence, and that takes flat linear thinking, and instead of our depth of spirit, our wisdom, and our height, Mark always said wisdom outthinks their criminal minds every time, whether it's their criminal mind or their DARPA generated artificial intelligence plan they're following. We outthink it with our wisdom. It's our saving grace. It's why our humanity is under attack like it is, and why it's ultimately a spiritual warfare, because that's our victory, our humanity, the essence of who we are, our strength of spirit. That's our saving grace. We win. It's game over, and they know it. And the people need to know it. They need to remember that we got all the power. We forgot.
That's and you're right. Transmitting that power right now, Cathy. Well said.
Right.
So how does the survivor community feel then about the way Maxwell was interviewed by the DOJ, and it looks like she's possibly getting shaped up for a pardon or a sentence reduction, and she just got moved to a prison from Florida into Texas as well, to minimum security in Texas.
She came to my town, huh?
Is that where you're based?
Yeah. Because Texas is very important. That's why I went down there, because I could see. But Cathy, what do you think? You go first.
Well, you know, I'd like to have seen Hillary taken down. You know, she was at the top of this. Madeleine Albright was. They were the ones over the Epstein Islands and the human trafficking ops running out of the Caribbean and everything. So, you know, we need to go a little higher up. And if she's going to bring them down, that would be interesting. But, you know, I think there's just so many pieces of this puzzle that we don't have. And when we're left to conjecture, we fill in the blanks with whatever is, you know, most prevalent in the media at the time. Release the tapes, you know, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of all this, because I'm a bit skeptical on, no matter what does come of it, do we even have a justice system to prosecute these people through?
Bingo. That's part of what's being shown too. That's exactly what's being shown, this movie we're living in. And of course, I believe that everything we're seeing on media has already happened, and they put out their fake news and pretend it's happening right now. How would we know?
So Maxwell's new prison, it's FPC Bryant, located 100 miles from the Texas capital of Austin. How far is that from you, Roseanne?
That's about 150 miles from me.
So quite close then. Wow.
But you know, like I say, I don't know what Cathy, how you feel about this, Cathy, but I was interviewed on some guy's show on News Nation 1, or I can't remember anybody's name, something. And he said, what do you think that Trump is considering giving her a pardon? Of course, I got a boatload of shit for saying it, but I said, good. I think if she comes up with the names, the real names, then yeah, I think he should pardon her, and we should have a party, a worldwide party. If she tells us who's really in charge, who this benefits the most, who's at the lead of doing this, then she becomes a hero from a, you know, whatever the word is, somebody we hate. She can become a hero. She can rejoin the human race. All she has to do is tell the truth and how far up it goes. And she knows it. She knows it. And I say it all the time, but everybody is so MK Ultra mind controlled, they can't fathom it. They can't fathom the truth. But if it comes from her, they may fathom it. What do you think of that, Cathy, where I say we should have a party and she should get pardoned?
Well, ultimately, this is probably going to go beyond the child sex trafficking, because they have been harvesting our children for so long. And
Cathy, I think
that's you know, that if we get to that part and we understand what they're doing with the genetics, you know, if we can get through
the stem cells
too. We get through that part, I think it's going to unravel this whole mess and make people realize that we share this planet with some very dark, negative, low vibration energy force people, you know. So there's a lot that needs to be known, and it's going to require the people to wake up. You know, when Mark and I would sit around and talk about what it would take to unravel this mess, it always came down to the same thing, that it's not going to make any difference if the people aren't awake and aware and evolve with knowledge. That's our defense against mind control, so that we can effectively protect children, the sanctity of free thought going forward. Then if it's just taking people out of positions of power and influence and blaming one person. That's going to create a vacuum. That's going to make, just fill it with more of the same, unless the people wake up to realize that it's up to us to start taking responsibility for our own lives, protecting our children going forward, and learn from what's unfolding in front of us right now. So it's a long way to go, and I don't really think that Maxwell, one way or the other, is going to make enough difference in that, unless it wakes more people up to what we need to protect ourselves from.
I think she has the ability to wake up the entire world. I really do. I think that really the future of the world, I'm just saying this is how I feel. I think that she holds the future of the world in her mouth and her brain and her tongue, and that she should speak the truth before she departs this realm, because she owes it.
Can she gather enough soul to convey the information? That's not anything I'm even trying to judge. I'm just raising the question. It's like, that's what it's going to take, is living a life's purpose for the magnitude of what needs to be done.
Well, I think Trump is really smart, and I think he can tell her, look, here's what you're going to do. If you want me to do what you want me to do, you're going to do what I want you to do. I think that's what he's doing all over the world, and going, and by the way, I do hold all the cards. So yeah, I do think she will, because I think she doesn't want to be there in Texas. It's real hot.
Well, that's the outcome we're all praying for. And just for the viewers, we've got all of Cathy's links in the description box. We've got Roseanne's YouTube channel in the description box. Please support their important work. I've been watching your channel, Roseanne.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Recently, you've been talking about the royal family, the British royal family's links to this network. Could you expand on that for my viewers, please?
Well, I do think that that's the big shocker, and anybody could research it. There's information available everywhere. I call them pharaohs, because first of all, they're all related. All the royals in the world are related, and all of the royals in the world do come from pharaohs, the pharaoh, the big one. And they think they're a particularly special bloodline that is more than human, and they are not like us. They are not like us, and I think they tried to monkey us, because that's just what people who do the kind of things that royals do. They try to monkey us so that they look human or act like human beings, but really, are they? I don't know. I don't know if people who have no empathy for whole nations and whole subcontinents, are they to turn them into fiefdoms and slave domains, which they've done forever. I don't know if they are exactly human. Maybe they are what they say they are, more than human, but when you reverse it and apply human ethics to it, it's kind of other than human. And it was Prince Andrew, that's the royal family, for God's sake. And he brought other royals down there to Epstein Island, and I think that was the thing they were really working on, because Epstein wasn't just a pimp. He was a great criminal mind. He reminds me of what's his name that started Las Vegas, that Jewish guy, I can't remember, but
Bugsy.
And the other guy too, Bugsy. And anyway,
Meyer Lansky.
Meyer Lansky was had a great criminal mind, and he knew how to make money out of nothing. And so did Epstein. But Epstein, what he really did, when you really get into it, he was involved in all these, legislative things on a really high level in every country. And what he worked on so much was to destroy the sovereignty of nations so that they could be turned into corporations that could be absorbed by all the banks he was working for. And that's way worse than, I mean, that's the death of, that's genocides of peoples. And so his pimping is pretty rough and hideous. But this guy, he wanted there to be no sovereign nations, no sovereign peoples on earth. And so do all of them. So do all of them. They hate anything other than corporate law. They hate tribal rights. They hate tribal law. They hate communities. They just want to manufacture, I think it is in their slaves, a bunch of MK Ultra child soldier assassins. And I think that's what they are and what they do and what they want. And they've probably been doing it forever too. Because I do think all royalty is built on child sacrifice. It can't be for anything else. How would they stay in power? But that one inspires fear in everybody, and you don't dare step out of line.
Did you see the video of Prince Philip saying if he was reincarnated, he'd like to come back as a virus, a bacteria, and kill the population?
Yeah, well, he already did.
Well, what do you think, Cathy, about the royal family's involvement in the network?
It wasn't as much my experience as other global leaders were, from Canada and Mexico, throughout the Caribbean, Saudi Arabia. My experience was different directions, but I just think what Roseanne, the way you just laid that out, girl, that was just brilliant. That was just that said a lot.
It's never changed. It's still slavery. It's still slavery with the chosen few at the top at the expense of many, which I want to say doesn't make me a commie or a socialist to say that.
What do you guys think about the death of Princess Diana?
Where are you getting these questions, boy? Where are you coming up with this shit?
I just shoot off my hip.
Oh, cool. Cathy, what do you think? You know stuff.
I don't know enough about that particular one, but because it raises questions, it needs to be looked at. It didn't seem right. We look at people in positions of power, like she was, and if she's not cooperating, anyone in this globalist agenda, if they're not cooperating, they're going to be eliminated one way or the other.
Yeah.
If they can't be coerced and bought off and blackmailed and everything else, they're going to be eliminated another way. And then I think it's amazing how President Trump has even survived so far. But look at the character assassination that they've done on him. So the people already love Princess Di. They couldn't do a character assassination on her. And I think that that raises a lot of questions, because she sure came across as being soulful, kind, and genuinely compassionate and caring.
Yeah,
I wrote a piece once about her when I one time edited the New Yorker. We did a woman's issue, and I wrote a piece about her that they were terrified of her, that when her son sat on the throne, that he would free the people of Ireland. And boy, the editor got pretty pissed. But yeah, she was too human, and she still had feelings.
Too human. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a theory that she was brought in to boost the DNA from the incestuous
Right.
royal interbreeding, and then, you know, she was discarded afterwards.
Yeah, because she was used so that her son, what's his name, that's going to be king after his dad croaks. What's his name, the older brother? Anyway, he's
You got William and Harry.
Yeah, William. Supposedly he carries the bloodline of all 13 of the ruling families of the world. So he's going to, you know, bring the one world government and the one world religion that's part of UN Agenda 30. And that religion is Chrislam. And you just saw the King of England bow to Islam as head of the Anglican Church. So it's well on its way to, we're well on our way to Agenda 30, UN Agenda 30, and nobody sees it. It's so sad.
Could you explain to the viewers what UN Agenda 30 means, please?
Well, it just means the one world government, track and trace, you know, track and trace technology. So, you know, they can identify your face in a crowd if you go to a freedom rally, and then you're going to go to the gulags. And, you know, it's like Soviet Nazism. That's what it is, with Islam thrown in there for women.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in this country right now are getting very distressed, and the tension is palpable because of the amount of illegal immigration that's come over here, and the government's putting them up in 5-star hotels, while war veterans and our local people are suffering and homeless and not getting any. Yeah.
Same here. Well, we're being Islamicized. That's what it is. Europe has fallen. I think the UK is pretty well done. But people are waking up there, so we don't know. But America's under heavy duty Muslim Brotherhood, MK Ultra. It's all the same thing. It's all like there's a special class of pure bloods that are going to rule everybody, and all we have to do is get rid of the Jews, and we're going to be great. Both sides. Which is, you know, Hitler and Stalin had a contest to see who could kill the most Jews. So nothing has changed. And power, royal power, always puts a Jew in the window to take the heat. So they hide behind that. And then when the people come and want to know where their money went, they throw the Jews to the hungry dogs in the street and hide behind it. And they hide all their treasures there in Switzerland, right next to CERN. So come on, people. This is the shattering of the matrix, the big one. The big one that we would accept that there is a certain bloodline that can own everything. Hello?
So what is the end game then with this just mass illegal immigration and diffusing the national identity of our countries here in Europe?
Well, I think that what they did was bring in rapists. That it isn't like, you know, mostly they brought in rape gangs, and, you know, that's how you take over. That's how every revolution works. They rape the women, they send the men to prison or send them away to fight their wars on another continent. And the goal is access to children.
Yeah, we've interviewed multiple survivors of what they call grooming gangs here. And there's this massive criminal apparatus that the government's refusing to even investigate. I mean, they brought in laws in America to come down on the mafia. They would think that they would do the same in this country if these girls' lives, sanity were a priority. But the government's just showing they absolutely do not care about these domestic young people. It's obscene.
Well, they had the prey. The women are prey. They had the prey and they offered them up as a sacrifice to, you know, the Satanists.
Well, trauma is the basis of mind control. And we've seen trauma after trauma, and now we've got the trauma brought to our streets through this influx of illegal immigration. I think there's more to it than just a merging of cultures to eradicate national sovereignty. I think that it's a whole lot of already programmed assassins, programmed, programmed violence that's being unleashed in our backyards to gain more control over the minds of the population. When you factor mind control into the equation, all of a sudden this plan starts making sense in that regard. It's like when you look into that formula for mind control that was brought into the US through Project Paperclip in the wake of World War II, when we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists, that formula for mind control came right with them. And that formula is the same, whether it's of an individual, a nation, a classroom, a military, a church, or the world. And trauma is the basis of it. The other components are sleep, food, and water deprivation. Because if we're starving our brains of the necessary nutrients, our brains aren't firing properly. When we experience trauma, our brains don't fire properly. So ultimately, mind control is being used to shut down the neuron pathways in our brain, to make us, to dumb us down, make us more compliant, when in fact we need to open those neuron pathways and get them firing. So we need to get plenty of rest. We need to get nutritious food. People are working 9 to 5, 5 to 9 to put food on the table that has been genetically altered, bioengineered to starve their brains deliberately. The water has been tainted with the fluoride. All of this coming, from what had been done in Nazi Germany. So it's just continued, and it's built up more and more and more now. So we've got a lot of components to this that we've got to deal with. Realizing trauma is a basis of it. The whole global population had their brains starved. And then you add the genetic encoding into it. That is what Project Monarch is all about, is the genetic mind control. Then we understand why they're keeping the bloodlines going, why they're attacking generations, because our whole brain function is under attack. And if we don't have our free thought, we don't have our free will, soul expression, we can't gather the strength of the human spirit and stand up against them. So it's in that regard, it's a spiritual battle, but it's our brains that are under attack. And this importation of programmed violent people into our society is a very deliberate attempt to perpetuate mind control, even population, to reduce our numbers to a more manageable size. That's what George Bush said they were going to do. If they lost control over the minds of the people, they'd reduce our numbers to a more manageable size, and still using all that they have to be able to manipulate us. But people are waking up anyway, because the strength of the human spirit is there, and people are weary of this nonsense, and they're waking up. They're taking it back. But like Kelly was saying, my daughter Kelly was saying the other day, she said, yeah, the Great Awakening is happening now that people are awake. They got a long way to go to catch up with what in the world's happening, and they do.
Yeah. Once you open your brain, then you have to bear the information.
Yeah.
And we have to bear what we have allowed our governments to do in our name and with our money that we worked and pretty much sweat for. It's
so
our
do you think this is building up to civil war then, and that will give the state more control?
Sometimes I think that. Sometimes I think that's all that could be done. But I think when they defunded U.S. aid and all these NGOs that were going to support terrorism and support the abuse of Arab children, but that's a whole other subject, because they got their petri dish. They had it in the United States, and then the UN and the owners of the world really figured out something really smart by locking people into Gaza and not letting them leave. They really go, oh, now we can really try some MK Ultra on these kids and their moms. And, you know, that's what they're doing. And they're trying to produce child assassins there. That's what the UN's whole thing is about. And they're also trying to gaslight the rest of us into thinking that it's something else. But it's something that they've always done. Mind control experiments on captive populations for hundreds of years, including the witch burnings. They've always done that. They have always done it, and they just perfected over the years. They perfected it. I mean, Hitler, he perfected it. Stalin perfected it, and then it went to the UN. And there's very little difference between the three.
I really think that civil war wouldn't solve the issue because it's a mind war, and all it would do is create more trauma to dumb us down further. So,
well, the first time they, Obama said, I think it was in 2013 to his cabal there, he said, well, if they come for me, you know what to do. And I can't remember the exact speech, but, he's got troops on the ground and in the government and in the, clerks everywhere that are his ops. And of course he's the head of the Muslim Brotherhood, and along with Valerie Jarrett and Brennan, and all of that stuff just works towards the New World Order in the same way. They're just coming from the Islamic way, but it comes in every direction. But I think that if anybody thinks they're going to get together and start some shit, I think they're thinking wrong, and I think they better look out, because I do think one of Trump's options is to declare martial law, and he already has the National Guard. He already made the National Guard be able to go to every state, which that wasn't legal before him. And I think they're sitting there waiting. So I think that if we say these things and people hear them and it clicks in their head and they see it, we can stop it. Because these poor kids, they're mentally ill, and they have been weaponized, and they're also being paid. They couldn't hold a lot of jobs because they're mentally disaffected, a lot of them from sexual abuse. And so their only job is to go and work as, brown shirts for the Democrat Party and the globalists. And so I'm just saying what I'm saying, because I believe that when truth hits the ether, I believe one spark can set the whole woods on fire. And that's why I was happy to be here with y'all, and especially with Cathy, because Cathy and I intend to set the whole woods on fire globally.
And we salute you for that. So a lot of people in the chat are asking for your thoughts on transhumanism, and for example, Epstein's baby farm as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're all transhumanists. They think. I used to think they thought they were smarter than God, but now I think they are God.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely that. And that's why, when people say, well, they're Satan worshipers, and it's like, well, really, they think they're more powerful than that. So, they worship themselves. They really do. It's just, they're disgusting.
It's psychotic narcissism to the nth degree.
It is. And then you add the artificial intelligence aspect into it, because I've been saying that all along, that these perpetrators follow a DARPA generated artificial intelligence plan. And it's linear. It's not, it knows that we can outthink it with our wisdom. So, you know, that's why we're under this attack. And ultimately, it's to give this artificial intelligence transhumanism a chance to proliferate. But it's not going to work because the people are waking up, and our wisdom outthinks their criminal minds and artificial intelligence every time. Mark and I talked at length about that, because back in the 80s, when I was at Bohemian Grove, George Bush was talking about artificial intelligence already being ahead of us, you know, back then. So that, not that that makes it true, but it makes it, you know, more plausible, because it really had reached that proportion. But it's only ahead of us if we allow that, you know, with our and let it erode our humanity and strength of spirit. So we've got the victory. I have no fear of artificial intelligence anymore than I do these criminals. I don't have fear, because I already know the victory. I know where the victory is, and it's just a matter of people waking up to remember who they are and why they're here right now at this moment in time. It's for a reason, you know, and that's what make the difference.
Like I said to some guys, I was sneaking a cigarette, and they recognized me, and they wanted to know about what I thought of artificial intelligence. And I said, well, I think the most important thing to realize about it all is that it's artificial and we're the real deal.
Yeah.
So we don't have nothing to fear from fucking talking Barbie doll or whatever it is, because the one thing we have that it doesn't is it doesn't understand the strength of the human spirit. It doesn't understand the strength of the human heart. It does not understand the strength of human empathy for another living being. It don't get none of that. So hello, they ain't worth shit. And it won't do shit neither. I think the most important thing is that we all try to, I was thinking about this today, just think about each other for maybe even a minute a week, if that's all you can free your mind to do. It's just important that we stop and think about each other, other people who are like us and who want to fight. If we just stop and think about and try to connect to their energy, because human intelligence is a magnet. A lot of people don't know that. But if you get into real physics and stuff like that, it is a magnet that draws like to itself, or its opposite, but still it's a magnetizing force. And I hope people who want to see Babylon fall and burn, if you just think about the number of people out there who know that and want the same thing, and just try to magnetize yourself to their thoughts, their being, their energy, I think it grows it. And I think our task is to grow it like it was a seed, you know?
I love that. Any level of mind control disrupts our free will soul expression. And when we lose soul expression, we lose our discernment of truth. We lose our compassion for each other, our ability to connect with each other. And when we have all that, we naturally connect in that space. And I love what you said about magnetism, because in so many ways it is. It's like when we have that, we have this frequency that our brains emit and connect with each other in the most beautiful ways. Like I'll be thinking of you and you call. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing happens to people all the time, and it's a great example of that kind of magnetism. That if we give it a moment's thought and start exercising it, then we can mentally even call out to each other. We can connect with each other. We get the collective conscious going. We raise the vibration of the planet. And then it's a beautiful aspect of our humanity that we have been led astray from. And even churches demonize it, like, oh no, there's no such thing as telepathy, there's no such thing as intuition, there's no such thing as sensing vibration and frequency, there's no ability for there is too. We've got that in our brains. Our brains were made that way. Our brains were made so perfect. We have so much capacity. We have the saving grace right there in our own brains, but we just forgot to access it all because we've been dumbed down by trauma after trauma after trauma. And then media's repetitive narrative, because that's the most basic form of mind control.
Yeah,
you know, that repetitive
that's the enemy of all the people. But I was going to say, the ability to feel love for other beings, that's a gift, and that's our weapon.
It's where we connect. You know, it's like when I was waking up from mind control and trying to, you know, love myself, because people told me that, and I couldn't love myself with what I'd done. And I did, well, like, what? No daily affirmation in the world was pumping that in my head. It wasn't working. So I went inside and found myself at the base core energy of my being, and that energy is love. So I started living the love I am instead of trying to love myself. And all of a sudden, it's not an emotional thing anymore. And it's not just a thought. It's an energy. It's an essence of being. It's what connects us all. It's where we all interconnect. And it's the beauty of life. It's our ultimate strength. It's our victory. You know, their darkness can't creep in on our light. It's our victory.
And the memory, however dim, back in the mists, that we are divine.
Yes.
We are divine, and we have divine gifts.
When we align with that divine, we access.
We are divine. And they keep telling us religions are part of mind control. And they keep telling us to always look out there for what's divine. Look out there. Somebody's coming to help you, to save you. Look out there. Look out there. Never look within, because it is within. It's in our heart and our mind and our spirit and our body. We're divine beings.
And you've got a question from GL, Cathy, that ties into this. And that was beautiful what you said. So GL wants to know, what about meditation and mind control?
Meditation is like, I think what people do when they strive to align with their divine, it's like prayer. You know, when you're striving to align with that divine within. And for me, I experienced so much of that alignment. You know, even when I was tortured, my spirit was always in a safe, loving space. It was above the torture, that they couldn't torture my spirit. In other words, they could only torture my body, and, you know, like that. But my spirit was always in that safe, loving space. And because I had so many near-death experiences, that became like a freeway, you know, I mean, it's just this wide path for me. And when I was healing and realizing that, you know, wow, that's just the most beautiful saving grace of all humanity, that we have this ability. And it's like, to me, when I decided I would live the love I am, it was aligned with that divine. It was the acknowledgement of that. And so I never wanted to shut that off. Why would I? You know, so people say you must pray a lot. And it's like, well, my life is a prayer. It's more like I stay in that space and in that place. So in that regard, I don't meditate, because I'm already aligned with that. And I celebrate that every day. It's the positive of the negative of my past. And it's so exciting to know that this is what we've been all blessed with all along. And even the children, what they've been through with the trafficking and the tortures and the horrors they've been through, they too can heal, because we've always had that that ability to align with the divine and reconnect with that and heal with that and be who we were always intended to be. What happens to us in life isn't who we are. Who we are is still within. And we can reclaim that because of this amazing saving grace. And if it takes meditation for people to realign with that, yeah, you know, whatever it takes, ultimately it's to go within and reconnect with the essence of who we are.
Would you say achieving that alignment saved your sanity, Cathy? And here's baby Ziggy wants to come and say hi.
Oh boy!
Oh,
Hi,
beautiful
boy.
Say hi to Roseanne and Cathy. Ziggy.
Hi. Hi, Ziggy.
Say hi.
What you doing? Are you a good
Say
boy?
hi.
You are
That's
a
Roseanne
good
and
boy.
Cathy.
Look at you. Look at
You're
you.
cute.
Oh, say hi.
Aw.
He's a big one. He's almost 2 now, and he's in
Oh,
age 4 clothes already. He came out at 10 pounds and never stopped growing.
Wow.
oh, he's a big boy. You're a big, strong boy. Look at you, Ziggy.
The
What a
reason we
dog.
do what we do.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
Oh,
I
you've
do
also got a mess.
I do meditate, and I have for a long, long time. I learned it when I was pregnant with my son, who turns 30 in 3 days, my baby.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I had 6 eggs implanted, and 5 of them he ate. And then I would go and look at this machine where they'd show the fetus or whatever, zygote.
Oh
And
my God.
I would talk to it because I was learning to meditate, because I had to be on bed rest for 12 weeks to keep the pregnancy. And I go and talk to it and say,
Yeah.
I really want you to come here and, you know, clasp on, grab on. And he did. And, you know, meditation is, the greatest part of meditation is to go to where your mind is completely silent. It's a hard thing to learn, a hard thing to do. But when you get to the place where you are not victim of bombarding thoughts and foreign thoughts, it's a great electrical realignment for you. It's a good thing, no matter how you do it. I do it the Jewish way, but they all go to the same. All roads lead to wherever.
The divine.